Hey everyone, Azure Cosmos DB TV. I'm your host, Mark Brown. Got with me a guest this week, Anitha. How are you?
Hi, Mark. Hi, everyone. I'm doing well. How are you, Mark?
I'm doing really well. Enjoying the summer here in Seattle, although it's a little hazy outside with all the fires, unfortunately. So, I guess it's the
Same
reality of
here.
life. But yeah, right. So that's okay. But rains will be around any moment, I guess, right? With our 8-week summers here. So we'll
Yeah,
go
it's
back to
been a
normal.
glorious summer with on and off rains here and there, right? Which is unusual for
Yeah.
Seattle.
Yeah,
But
that's
in
right. We have had some rain, so that is unusual. This week, we're going to talk about Cosmos Mirror. I don't know if we've had you on the show before. I think we had Rodrigo on in the past to talk about Synapse and Synapse Link and kind of how you do real-time analytics using Azure Cosmos DB in our analytics platform. This week, we're going to talk about something that's relatively new, and that's the Cosmos Mirror functionality that we've got into the Azure Fabric analytics platform. Did I tee that up correctly?
That's right, Mark. We're going to talk about mirroring. This is the new technology that we launched in public preview recently, end of March, and it's going well. And so I'm excited to talk about more details on this today.
Well, that's good. So I know you got we're gonna get some slides, kind of tee this up and kind of what it is and how it works and stuff, and then you're gonna give us a little demo too, right? We get to see it in
That's
action.
right. That's right.
Okay.
We'll talk about yeah.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
So yeah, we'll talk about why use mirroring, what scenarios to use it for, how it works, and then we'll jump into the demo. And then I'm going to cover a bit more on pricing and other details.
Perfect. All right. Let's flip over here and let you take it away.
Thank you. All right. So let's first talk about why use this technology mirroring. Today, a lot of Cosmos DB customers want to build BI reporting on their data in Cosmos DB. They want to some of them want to run ad hoc analytical queries, but the frequent ask that we get from them is, how do I quickly get access to my data without impacting my transactional workloads? What we see in a lot of setups today for organizations is this ETL kind of setup to isolate the databases from performance impact. Customers set up the ETL and take the data to data warehouses and then process that on a nightly basis. And then the analysts access the data from the warehouses. But this is very cumbersome, complex, and the data is not available in real time. So we want to address these challenges with mirroring. First, we want to isolate transactional workloads from the performance impact of the complex analytical queries. Sum, count, max, these complex functions tend to impact the performance in a way that OLTP workloads can slow down if they're run directly against databases. So mirroring hopes to address that. Similarly, we also want to simplify the data movement. Today, the ETL processes are way complex to manage. So we want to give a very easy way to get the data out of databases into analytics, which is in Microsoft Fabric. And then we also want to give near real-time access to this data. ETL processes are usually very long processes. They run nightly, so the data is not fresh. With mirroring, we want to give near real-time access to this data. And finally, by removing the complex ETL processes and making it super simple end-to-end, we are also able to provide cost optimizations for customers.
Cool. This is great and kind of similar, I guess, in scope or what it does to the kind of the Synapse Link piece of it, right? Which is operational data. I want to do analytics over that operational data, do it in a very near real-time way. Forever, you ever wanted to get data out of a database and get it in analytics, it always put a ton of strain on that database, and that can cause issues. Like, people don't like it if you are trying to run a business and then things slow down because you're trying to get data out of it. and put it and do analytics over it. So this really solves some really critical kind of things that are needed if you're trying to solve this very tricky problem. So very cool. Okay.
That's right, Mark. It is, it makes Power BI and all the other services super easy to consume because Fabric brings all of these services together seamlessly. And it also provides a single data layer that we call One Lake, which is in Delta Parquet format. So Fabric is much more easier to use, and it really brings together the services much tightly compared to Azure Synapse or Synapse Link. So we are excited for the customers to try mirroring. And so let's look at more of how this technology works.
Okay.
Yeah, so with mirroring, we are taking the data from the source databases and incrementally and automatically replicating it in near real time to the Fabric One Lake. The data in Fabric One Lake will be in Delta Parquet format. And once the data lands into One Lake, customers can use it on any of the compute engines in Fabric, be that the data warehouses with SQL endpoints, lake houses, to be able to do Spark queries on top of it, or ML, or run some BI reports that's tightly integrated into Fabric. All of this is automatic for customers. So once they turn on mirroring, as the new changes keep coming in, we will continuously and incrementally replicate it into Fabric One Lake. And once the data is in One Lake, the queries run against One Lake. And so the source database is protected from the performance impact of these queries. And also, the replication itself isolates the database from the performance impact of that replication. Now, this technology is available for Azure Cosmos DB, Azure SQL DB, and Snowflake in public preview. And we are working on other technologies to take it forward to other databases here at Microsoft and also across the industry. It works the same way across all of these sources, giving you a uniform experience of accessing the data.
This is pretty cool. It looks like we're kind of blazing the trail here for the mirroring capability here. So folks want to go and take advantage of that, particularly, for Cosmos. I mean, sure, SQL is also used as an operational database, but so is Cosmos in very mission critical operational transactional workloads. So I think customers that are today struggling with how do I do analytics, near real-time analytics, which is certainly a key capability and need, should absolutely take a look at this and see what they can do with this. And also that big value prop, of course, is the Fabric, and you have that One Lake. And once it's in there, basically the options just open up, right? Because that's the whole idea, is to have that all in one place, and then everything else can hang off of it. So this is great. All right. You want to give us kind of a little peek as to what we can see?
Absolutely, Mark.
Okay.
So let's jump to the demo of how the product works. Just a second, please.
Yep.
Here we have a Cosmos DB account where we have retail orders. So we have different containers that are storing information about order status, for example, customer information, the items in the orders. And we want to see how to take this data into Fabric, Microsoft Fabric, analyze it from there, and build a BI report. Mirroring is really trailblazing, as you said, Mark, because today, if customers want to build real-time dashboards, there are not really many good options out there. And even if they are looking for not so real-time, but they don't want to impact the performance of the workloads, change feed or other technologies are just not enough, right? So that's where Fabric mirroring fits in. So let's take a look at how to mirror this data into Fabric. I am here in the Fabric environment. So when I launch Fabric, I see all the different experiences. So I'm going to go to the data warehouse experience here. Before I launch mirroring, I will need to go to the right workspace. So customers can create their workspaces. And here we're picking a workspace where we launch mirroring from. So here I'm going to click new item and click on mirror Azure Cosmos DB.
Okay, so well, this is always fun. I put that connection. Always live demos. That's what we do here. So okay, cool. So all right.
So here, first, we need to pick a database connection to link to mirroring. So the account that we saw in Cosmos DB, we need to give the connection details to that account. Customers can give the endpoint information, etc., by looking at the endpoint information here and the key information from the screen. So the endpoint is right here, and the authentication kind right now is only account key. In future, we also plan to support organizational account and service principal. And for this demo, we're just going to pick an existing connection. Once the connections are created, they're available here in the screen for reuse. So customers don't have to recreate the connections all the time. And once the connection is set up, so now we linked to the account. Now, the next step is to link to the database within that account. So this may take a few seconds to load. So again, a live demo. So let's hold on.
That's all good. All good.
Okay, so now here's the database that we saw. I'm switching back to Cosmos DB. I'm going to show you the database one more time. So this is the orders DB database in Cosmos DB, and that's the one that we're picking up for mirroring here. And I'm going to say connect. On this screen, we can pick any of the containers that we want to mirror. For this demo, I'm going to pick all the containers, and I'm going to say connect. And now I get to give the name for the mirrored instance in Fabric. I can give the same name as original database if that's what it's easier to find, or I could give any other name as well. I'm going to leave the name as is, and I'm going to create the mirror database. While that's loading, I'm going to pick one of the similar setups I have done, because the replication is going to take a minute or two to set up. And just for this demo, I'm going to switch to an existing instance mark.
Okay. Yeah, this is like the infomercial where you put the cake in the oven and then open the other door, pull it all fully baked, ready to go, ready to eat. So.
Exactly. So here we have monitoring replication. So it's going to take like a quick minute or so, and customers should see all of the tables corresponding to each of the collections. So what this list is showing is a table for each collection in the Cosmos DB account. And it is saying that the rows have been replicated for each of them. If everything is going well, the status should show running. If you see any errors, we have descriptive error messages on what the errors may be. In some cases, customers may see warnings, which are not, limiting for replication. So they're just more informational warnings. So that's that. So the data is replicated into one lake. Let me show you one quick interesting thing that we built into this mirroring here, Mark. If you go to view and click on source database, customers can actually see the data explorer directly from a mirrored instance. So this is the same data explorer. I'm switching over to Azure portal here. The data explorer that we see in Azure is also visible in Fabric, so that customers can see their transactional workload data as is. They can query it. So I can run a new SQL query and execute this query and see the results. Now, customers can only browse the collections. As new collections come up on the source database, they will automatically show up here. They can query it, but we've made it read-only. And the scenario that we heard customers may use this is if you are querying data in one lake, and if you want to make sure the data formatting is correct or cross-check that against any data in the source database, customers may come back and forth and be able to use Data Explorer from right here.
That makes sense. It's a handy feature, definitely.
That's right. Yeah, instead of navigating away, instead of going to Azure portal, customers can do it right away from here. And then if they switch back to replication status, they go back to monitoring replication again. So, all right. And then in the home screen, there are also these actions to stop and start replication if they want to stop, like, if there's any schema reset or anything like that, or they run into any warnings, they may want to stop and restart, which will, set up replication from start again. All right, now let's go take a look at the data in one lake. So I'm switching over to SQL Analytics endpoint in this mirrored database instance. And then when we do that, we should see the tables loaded in the SQL Analytics endpoint. So here are the tables that we saw that got replicated to one lake, a table for each of the containers that we have in the source database. And if you click on this, as soon as the data is in the Cosmos DB account, it shows up here within a minute or two. So here we can browse all the collections directly. And I can also do select top 100 by clicking here. And it's a simple query. And so I can, query right from here. And the cool thing about mirroring is it allows, cross-collection queries that are not possible in Cosmos DB itself. In Azure Cosmos DB today, customers can only query within a collection, right, Mark? So now that the data is in one lake, it's super easy to run cross-collection query. I'm going to zoom in a little bit if this is not quite visible. So in this query, what we're doing is we are joining across different collections here: order payments, order status, product directory. And I'm going to run that. And as you can see, the queries are also blazing fast. I have quite a bit of data in these collections, but they usually run within a few seconds in 2 to 5 seconds. And that's mostly because of the performance optimizations we have done on the Delta format. And so now let's take a look at another cool thing that I want to show you here. If I have data in SQL, for example, I have some store sales information in SQL DB, and I want to bring the mirrored SQL DB data and join that with Cosmos DB, I can just click on the SQL Analytics endpoint of SQL DB mirrored instance and bring that warehouse alongside the Cosmos DB database here. So you see they're side by side, and I can also run a simple query that directly joins. So here I'm directly joining SQL data with that of Cosmos DB data. And we're going to run this. Sorry, I think I didn't. Yeah. So let's run this, and we can see that it is, instantaneous. It's very quick, and this is not possible outside Fabric, Mark. This is, super amazing.
Is that? I mean, it's like a cross-cluster query you got going on there. Basically, is how I would think about that. Where you got a cluster of data on SQL and a cluster of data for Cosmos data. I know it's probably not architected like that. I don't really know, but but that's really cool. And really, and you just said it. I mean, that's the big value prop is data from all over your enterprise, and you got a single pane of glass or a single query editor where you can access all of that. Is just amazing.
That's right, Mark. And it's super easy, convenient, and yeah, not available anywhere else in near real time, right? So very cool to build unified data estate with Fabric One Lake. Another thing that I want to show you here is how deeply integrated Power BI is. So if we, and this may bail on me because I may not have selected the query. So let's see. I'm going to actually close this one here and select one more time and explore this data, because I did a group by, and group by doesn't go super well with this one. So
while that kind of finishes out there, I like one of the things that was just occurred to me is I love it. It's just you got your query there, and then it's just a one button click, and then you're into a Power BI editor to go build a report out of that, which is just very super slick.
that's right, Mark. That's right.
Out of there, right? So the integration is for the Power BI, of course, is going to be phenomenal.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Because with Synapse Link,
no, go ahead.
With Synapse Link, customers had to go build BI desktop, and then they had to kind of share those, desktop instances with external users, and it was all very disconnected experiences, right? This is super, super convenient, super integrated, as you said, and even lake houses and Spark, they're right here. Data pipelines are right here. So customers who want to do transformations, medallion architecture, can build on top of this, right?
Right. So no more sharing PBIX files with your friends or your coworkers or whatever. This is all in the portal. That's and you have all the workspaces, all the reports, and everything. Nothing necessary to download. Right. It's all running in the browser.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is cool stuff. This is the way it should be. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, here we go, Mark. So I just had to restart it. So yeah, it's as simple as this, right? We can get like a quick view into different insights right there. And once customers build these queries, and they can also, let me show you a cool thing that they can do. They can come back here and save this as a view. And if they save, if they have any filtering set up and they save this as a view, they can essentially get a pre-built, materialized view on top of this data, right? So let's say view across TVs, and it will continuously keep polling this data, and they can, build BI reports on based on these views as well.
So you can get even faster performance out of this, is what you're saying, because it's going to materialize the view in there and keep it hydrated with data as it gets updated behind the scenes. Yeah, that's very cool.
Yep.
Yeah. Sure come a long way from the Crystal Report days when I was building reports. I just want to say that.
Right.
I don't know if anybody remembers that thing. I'm just saying how old I am, but that was the last time I think I built a report. It was using Crystal Reports back in, God, I don't want to say when, but this is much, 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 much better and easier and just so lightweight and powerful as well. So you were showing the SQL. So there's two kind of engines in here for doing kind of the queries and the compute in here, right?
That's right. Like actually, because the data lands into one lake, it's very easy to then bring all of the queries together. SQL data is in one lake, Cosmos DB data is in one lake. And if customers bring other data through shortcuts, for example, from S3 or GCP or ADLS Gen 2, or even native lakehouse data that they're bringing in, or warehouse data, everything can just be unified just the way I showed it, because all these instances can be brought into a SQL Analytics endpoint. Let's say I add a S3 shortcut. I could bring the SQL endpoint for that and join the data with Cosmos DB. So it really simply simplifies the data estate and bringing the data that is disjointed and siloed earlier.
Yeah, this is great. I know you want to close with some slides. I put the blog post where you guys announced your preview. I'll put that back up. And then while you're talking on these other slides, I'll put up a tutorial. So if people want to get started, they can go. I'm guessing, so they have to sign up for the preview? Or is it just go and provision from the portal?
It's available for everyone, Mark. They can just access it in the portal. Now, on the Fabric side, there is a setting to enable mirroring. The instructions for that are in the tutorial link that we share. So they should talk to their tenant admins and have the feature enabled on the Fabric side. For Cosmos DB, the only requirement is a continuous backup feature. It works as a source of replication. And so if customers have already enabled continuous backup, they can use it without any additional setup on the Cosmos DB side, just enable mirroring and it works. If they haven't set up continuous backup, they can turn on 7-day continuous backup, which is free of charge, which brings us to the topic of pricing. So if I may, I want to share a few details here, Mark, on how mirroring works with respect to the cost. So the good news for mirroring customers is that the compute that we're using for replication on the Fabric side is free of cost. We're not going to charge it on customers. Similarly, the storage itself is also free up to a certain extent. If the customers have capacity, so depending on this capacity SKU, for example, if they have a F2 SKU, up to 2 terabytes is free. If they have a F4, 4 terabytes is free. And beyond that, if they are storing more mirror data, we'll charge at the standard rate of 1 lake storage, which is 2.3 cents per gig per month.
Okay. Well, that's cool. I mean, hey, for getting started, 2 terabytes is a lot of data, even for analytics. So I think that's nice. People can basically start for very low cost. They don't have to sink a bunch of money in to that. So, and we're not charging to replicate, of course, or any of that other stuff. So if you got your data in Cosmos, you can go and provision one of these instances and then party on with at least 2 terabytes of data or even more, I guess, if you got a bigger one. So
yeah, absolutely, Mark. And the price is also pretty good for the 1 lake usage as well. So even if they go above the free capacity limitation, it's pretty attractive pricing. And then if they're using the standard, experiences in Fabric, SQL queries, Power BI, Lakehouse, the standard charges do apply. Similarly, continuous backup feature. As I said, if they enable it for 7-day, that works for mirroring and it's free of cost. But they've already set up continuous backup. Those standard charges continue to accrue, and there's no additional charges for mirroring.
Got it. Okay, cool. Is that it?
One last thing I want to say, Mark, is how it works with Synapse Link, because we have quite a few customers using Synapse Link for BI reporting and other scenarios. And I just wanted to pitch here that the Delta format that we're using for mirroring makes it much more attractive. It allows the platform to be open. So if customers have data in Databricks or other platforms that are using Delta, they can bring this data together much easily now with mirroring. Similarly, because the data is stored in Delta format, the query improvements that we've done in SQL and Spark and Fabric make the queries really, really fast. So we'd like our Synapse Link customers to try out mirroring. And overall, it's super easy to join the data across organization. The data silos are gone, and it's much simpler to do that with Microsoft Fabric than Azure Synapse Link. And if they do have Azure Synapse Link already set up, they can use it with mirroring as well. They can enable both the features on the same account while they're testing it. And if they're using it for production workloads, the Synapse Link for production workloads, our guidance for now is that they can continue using it. They should definitely experiment with mirroring because that's the future for analytics for Cosmos DB.
Yep, absolutely. And lots of improvements, like you were saying. So, definitely the future happening right there in front of you. So this is cool. Thanks, Anitha, for being on. It was great seeing the kind of the work and the progress going on with doing these real-time analytics and the Cosmos Mirror integration into the Azure Fabric platform. This is great stuff. I mean, we're a database. If you got data, you need to get insights off it, and this is the platform where you're gonna get that, and also just provide that accessibility for your users. So, Anitha, thank you for joining me and joining us this week on Cosmos DB TV. We hope to have you back soon, maybe later this fall. Can you let us know? Would you like to come back? Would there be some more cool stuff on the Cosmos Mirror side to show us?
Absolutely, Mark. We're hoping to go GA later this year or so. So I'd love to come back when we do that. And thank you so much for having me on the show, Mark. You're a wonderful host, and it's been a great time, talking to you. Thank you.
Oh, great. Well, thank you, Anitha. And thank you, folks, for joining us. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.